Most people prefer to live within some kind of framework. Without any structure or guidelines, it's hard to know which end is up. And that's true for families, but it's also true for sports teams or companies or even international corporations. That's what a society is, a group of people living under a shared collection of guidelines. We're all operating in this agreed-upon system of rules, do's and don'ts. That's fine by me. Personally, I need lots of structure to function. Many people on the autism spectrum do. Some of us depend heavily on it. It's an anchor. It serves as sort of a singular thing that can be relied upon. But if you change the schedule, if you dislodge that anchor, well, that disrupts the whole system. The loss of structure in our schedules means the loss of structure in our very lives. A system in flux means there's no hard and fast rules, and without rules, all we have is anarchy! Welcome to Mr. Snayl's Wild Ride. I am Mr. Snayll, and the wild ride is my life so far. I don't like change, and any changes to my schedule or my routine upset my whole system. Not just my system of function, but my digestive system too. And acclimation to that change, any change at all, takes a ridiculously long amount of time. This kind of reaction to change is pretty common for people with autism spectrum disorder, although the degree of impact it has on them varies from person to person. But it's never easy. It can result in agitation, distraction, severely limited function, even cause meltdowns. Yes, even in adults. Allies of spectrumites are pretty familiar with this, and those with enough experience have usually developed techniques or adaptations to sort of head it off at the pass, because typically you can see something like this coming. You usually know when big change is on the horizon. The problem is just as often circumstances can occur when a neurotypical person might not perceive that a schedule or routine is about to be changed, or has been changed. Last week I described a small argument between my wife and I, using it as an example of when we were both demonstrating mind blindness toward one another. I'll give you a quick example from my own life. 20 some odd years ago, my wife says, "Hey, let's go to such and such fast food place." So I say, okay. We're out running errands, and then she says, "Oh wait, let's go to such and such a different fast food place." And I get all bent out of shape. Why? She changed the plan. What I didn't describe is the reason that I was so bent out of shape. Now, at the time, I didn't even know why I was so annoyed, really. I just found the whole thing really irritating. I sort of felt like I was being jerked around. It threw a pall over the whole day. Now, this kind of thing had happened before, but this time it felt more significant for some reason, for both of us. At that moment, my wife decided that this kind of change at the last minute was clearly a very big deal, and she was going to do everything she could to try to avoid this sort of situation in the future. So why was it such a big deal? Well, I believe that we had made a plan and that she changed it on me with no warning. Now, it didn't matter that this plan was completely unimportant, that it would have no effect on our schedule, had no effect on me personally, and essentially didn't matter whatsoever. Normally, a person on the autism spectrum, if they weren't too severely affected, would develop some coping skills for this sort of stuff as they got older. One would hope. Now, me personally, I thought I did, to some degree. Lately, though, I've noticed that I've been having more difficulty. I think I've come to understand why. With respect to structure and scheduling in my life, for a long time I was accustomed to arranging my life around other people's schedules. Most spectrumites have to deal with an adjustment period at some point, usually after secondary education or college or university. This is so noteworthy because up until that point, your life is very, very structured, and that structure originates from an external source. You go to school, you come home, you do your homework, and then you do it again. Some spectrumites encounter such a difficult adjustment period adapting to life after school, and it causes them so much stress that they sometimes experience a kind of autistic burnout or regression. Usually, though, it's for a finite amount of time and they eventually adapt. For me, I've kind of had a lifetime of bouncing back and forth between a world that was externally structured and a world with barely any structure at all. I went from school to college to working to unemployed to working again to unemployed and caring for my dying father to then caring for my sick wife to then working and caring for my wife, and then I went back to school while I was caring for my wife, and then I was moving while caring for my wife, and then we were moving again while I was caring for my wife, and then suddenly nothing. Now that she's doing well, it's like the script got flipped without any sort of transitional period or on-the-job training. I didn't get to shadow someone, and have them model a normal life for me. I couldn't go by what my wife had been doing for several years because she was really damaged all that time. So now here I am, rudderless. I need a lot of direction. I do okay when she's home. There's a lot of me asking, "So what does your schedule look like today?" That's silly because it very rarely has anything to do with what I have to do that day. I just like to know what she's got going on. I feel better if I check in first. There are lots of times she does give me help, though. And even with this web series, many times she helps me shape the ideas for them. I mean, the thoughts and words are my own, but I get stuck a lot because I'm unable to be objective about my own life. So I'll walk up to her and I'll say, "So what do you think I should talk about this week?" We'll start discussing some things, and eventually an idea will come out of that discussion, and then I can move forward. But when she's out of town, though, man, it's not okay. It's not like the animals starve or anything like that. If it's for a couple days, it's fine. I can get by flailing about and accomplishing nothing. And when I say nothing, I don't mean like I sit around and watch TV. I mean nothing, like I sleep or I sit and stare. Nothing. It's when she's gone for extended times that things become problematic. Like in July, she's going to be gone for a solid 2 weeks. And after her book is released, she's going to be gone a lot and often. We haven't come up with any sort of strategies yet, but we're going to have to figure something out. My entire lifestyle is going to change, and I need to be able to operate without her. I only ever lived by myself as a bachelor, so to speak, for a year, my senior year of college. I only ever had, roommates or an impending partnership the rest of my life. And that was when I was in my early 20s. I haven't lived alone as an adult ever. Certainly not in this new world with the messed up brain and all the other health issues that are developing. So whatever shape and form this new functional paradigm is going to take, the only thing I know for sure is that it's not going to look anything like anything has ever looked for me before. When we talk about acclimation time, I worry I'm going to need one of those wraparound cardigans. So has anybody out there ever had their life structure taken away from them? Not like made a life change, something like they become an empty nester all of a sudden, or you lost your job, and you not just get a new job, but you have to replace your original life structure with, another life structure, one that you created. Building a structure from nothing, design a new life. I've tried self-imposed structures and schedules before, and I've never been able to make them stick, so I don't know what the trick is going to be this time. So any help is welcome. In the meantime, though, guys, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to click like, and don't forget to subscribe. And I'll see you next week. Because I've developed techniques it can result in agitation, distraction, severe This kind of reaction is pretty common with respect to neurotypicals might not perceive that a neurotypical person might not perceive that a change or a neurotypicals might not perceive some sort of change or routine is being at that point, as they got older, between externally structured is that it is not going to resemble any phase of my life that I have something in my eye besides my finger. And then you do it again. A robot plastic man. And they eventually adapt. What is life? Now, I've kind of had a lifetime, but damn it, to one that was barely structured at all. Why is my nose so itchy? Itchy nose means I can't record.